Hello folks, welcome back to my Sanibel Chronicles. Today we're dealing with episode 12 of the series, and today is a special day. It's my sister's birthday, my sister Natalie Kirkland, and this is she and her late husband Bobby enjoying themselves aboard a cruise ship. At this time, the time this photograph was taken, they owned the 5K cattle ranch in Collier County. Her husband's family, the Kirkland family, if you're interested in Southwest Florida history, they came to Collier County in about 1880, just after the Civil War. And there's several Kirkland families around the Naples area. And the topic I'm speaking about today is the work that I was asked to do. The topic I was asked to discuss was the Sanibel Slough, the Sanibel River, and the water control structures and mosquito control. So today's episode is the center of those three subjects. First of all, this first photograph that I'm showing now is an aerial taken in 1944 of about the center part of the Sanibel Slough. If you're familiar with Sanibel Captiva, you can locate the exact locale of this photograph in your memory. The road going north and south is Rabbit Road. This aerial photograph was taken in 1944, and it's a great shot of about the center of Sanibel Island to cover the Sanibel Slough system. The road it runs between what is now West Gulf Drive and Sanibel Captiva Road. If you look closely at the lower right-hand corner of the image, you'll see a row of trees. That was the location of Gulf Drive back in the 40s. Later on, as the island began to develop, a road behind the small development there was put in by the Lee County Department of Transportation. And then after Hurricane Donna, or during Hurricane Donna, in September 1960, that frontal road that ran between Island End and Casabel was taken out by the storm. You'll note that any indication of a West Gulf Drive stops just to the left of Island End. That small white area north of Island End is Island End Road that connects Island End with Tarpon Bay Road and the rest of Sanibel. If you look closely, if you find Sanibel Captiva Road and look to the right, you'll see a tiny mosaic of faint roads. That is an old subdivision that was built in the early 1920s, and there were parcels of land on both sides, the north and south side of Sanibel Captiva Road. But the important aspect of this photograph is that it shows the Sanibel Slough, the center freshwater basin, is completely undisturbed. It's a far cry of what's happened to that area since 1944. The next image, it's the complete 1944 photograph. What I'm going to say now are mostly unknown or forgotten things about the Sanibel Slough. The first image, you'll see a yellow circle, and you'll see this on the next few slides, and that indicates one of the very few permanent bodies of fresh water found on Sanibel. This particular map indicates a pond called Fitzhugh Pond. It was a beautiful little buttonwood-lined pond, but when sundial was put in and all of those condominiums came after, and that immense canal that parallels Middle Gulf Drive near the golf course, Fitzhugh Pond was completely destroyed. The next aerial photograph, that yellow circle encompasses what has been known since the 40s as Lake Louise, and that is located on the Perry Tract, the beachfront parcel owned by J.N. Ding-Darling National Wildlife Refuge. And the name Perry is the name of Dr. Louise Perry, who was a resident of Sanibel years ago. She was an ophthalmologist, and she was quite a remarkable person. She compiled the first bird list for what then was Sanibel National Wildlife Refuge. She did works on seashells. She raised Genonias in home aquarium. And after her death, we discovered that in her will, she gave that 550-foot beach frontage to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. The next aerial, the circle encompasses the mangrove head on the Bailey Tract. And this, of course, was taken before the Bailey Tract was acquired for refuge purposes. The mangrove head is still present today, although it's been altered because of management improvements on the Bailey Tract. It's still an important asset for permanent fresh water on the island. Now bear in mind, I'm mentioning these ponds because, as I spoke earlier, in the dry season, usually in April and May, without any precipitation, the Sanibel Slough dried up dramatically. It went bone dry, and the only permanent fresh water were these ponds that I'm mentioning. And I'll be talking about how important those ponds were in another episode. The next shot, using the same aerial photograph, is a pond that was known as Stewart's Pond. Now, Stewart's Pond was located where the subdivision Chateau Semur off of Sanibel Captiva Road is located. It was an excellent pond, and there was a lease agreement between the property owners and the Fish and Wildlife Service, and we managed Stewart Pond. We did some vegetation control in there in the 1950s and early 60s. And then in the far left corner of this image and out of the frame is another pond that we don't have any photographs of, and that was Mitchell Pond. And Mitchell Pond was destroyed by development in the 1950s, and I doubt if anybody, if there's someone alive on Sanibel that remembers Mitchell Pond, I'd like to hear about them, or for that matter, ever saw Stewart's Pond. Next is a clip of a movie that was made in 19 in the late 1940s, and its aerial view of the Sanibel River, where it broke through the Gulf Beach Ridge down by the colony on the eastern end of Sanibel. That dark tannic acid-colored water is flowing out into the Gulf of Mexico. It's being picked up by the inshore current along the beach and moved east. After the water reaches a low enough level, the beach is unique in that it shows the Sanibel River actually flowing as a river, and that's why the local people called it the Sanibel River when it discharged into the Gulf of Mexico. You can see the dark water flowing across the beach ridge where it scudded through the beach, and then it is picked up by the inshore current, and it's moved south or east, and it finally dissipates. And this opening was near the Colony Resort. This next image is a composite of those four ponds. I couldn't get a good enlargement to show the ponds, but most of them were at one time breakouts where the Sanibel Slough discharged water into the Gulf of Mexico. And then, of course, consequently after that, the beach filled in again and plugged them. But these were in the wintertime, during the time of year when migratory waterfowl came to the island to rest in really vast numbers compared to what we see today. Stewart Pond was an important stopover for them, as was the Bailey Tract. And I recently discovered I had some old movie footage of the Bailey Tract, and I will have a future episode devoted exclusively to the Bailey Tract. I think that most people that enjoy Sanibel will enjoy. In the top left is Fitzhugh Pond. Very hard to make it out, but it's an elongated water body. To the right of that is Lake Louise. Lower left is the mangrove head in the Bailey Tract. Again, these are all from 1944. And then the lower right is the image of Stewart Pond. It was quite a complex compared to the other ponds. And it fed into the Sanibel Slough system and was practically the headwaters for the Sanibel River that we'll touch on more as we go along. The next slide is a rather unique slide. It just shows one of the bridges that at one time crossed the Sanibel Slough. And this is a forgotten bridge. This bridge is the Las Conchas Bridge. Now, where it was just about where the crossing of the Sanibel River is located in Periwinkle Park. Las Conchas Road ran from Periwinkle Way through what is now the trailer park, across the river, and then straight ahead into a tiny development called Las Conchas. And that's where little cottage complexes called Surf and Sand or Funk's Gulf Breeze Motel, they were located there on the beach. And I'll be talking about those commercial development, I'm sure, as time goes on. is the Sanibel Slough at its low point. It's completely dry. There's a place as you leave Tarpon Bay Road and go into the Bailey Tract, you park, then you walk into where that educational kiosk is. To the left of that is a water body that's now probably almost dry. But in the movie that I'll show in a future episode, I'll try to remember to point it out because it's much different than what you see there today. But I have personally walked on the bottom of that water body when it was bone dry in April, probably April of 1959, and the ground was so dry it was cracked open. You could see down at least 12 inches to the bottom of those cracks without seeing any water. That's how dry it got on Sanibel. Sanibel in the late spring, April, May, became a desert island. Most of the vegetation on Sanibel was adapted to those dry wet cycles, and that has certainly changed. And if you like these topics, this is the cover of my book, Sanibel Light. I published this in 1998. It's my bestseller. It's now in its 5th printing, a revised edition. And since its printing just on Sanibel Captiva, this book has sold 14,000 copies. It's a historical biography, autobiography. It talks about my life in the early days on Sanibel and what it was like to put up with the harsh environment that we had moved to. I'm not advertising it. I'm just mentioning it. I'm not in the commercial announcement business. And then this next slide is just an announcement that starting in June, I will have 4 episodes on sea turtle biology and conservation on Sanibel Captiva between 1952 and 1992. And something I've forgotten to mention before, that the photograph that I use in the beginning of my episodes of me standing beside a Jeep was the last photograph I had taken of myself in my role as a sea turtle conservationist. National Wildlife Magazine had sent a writer photographer to Sanibel to interview me for an article that would soon appear in National Wildlife Magazine. And this photograph was taken, however, it was not used in the article itself when it appeared. And this is just one of my favorite photographs. I'm looking up at the wall and I'm looking at it right now. Just one of those quirks that takes me back in time. So don't forget, in a few months we'll get into sea turtles and we'll do 4 parts on those. And then down the road in future episodes, I'll tell you all some secrets about Sanibel sea turtles. I want to thank you very much for your attention, and thank you to the many subscribers who have subscribed in the past couple of weeks. I certainly appreciate your help. Please share these videos. Give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and please share them. Help me make this channel grow so I can reach more people with these stories, educate more people, and just have plain old-fashioned fun. Thank you.